Hey, it's Del Jackson. We got a special LL Hoops Zoom here with Coach Charlie Fisher of the unbeaten Manheim Central Barons. All right, Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. All right, we got the 76ers. It's like little story here. Andy and I are gonna go down to see the 76ers tomorrow. But first
Are
game,
you?
first game is Elko and Wyo, so we're gonna do a little work and then we're gonna do a little play. Haven't
Oh,
been to
that's awesome.
Sixers for a while, so I'm hoping Embiid keeps his 30, 40 point streak going the way he's going. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about your team, man. I don't know. Maybe people are surprised. I don't know. Maybe I'm not super surprised that you are where you're at. I looked at the names without seeing you guys play, but I looked at the names from last year, and I watched you quite a bit last year. You guys had a nice run last year, but I recognized some names, and you lost the star power, but you have some pieces in place. So talk a little bit about your team, where you're at, who's contributing, and if there's any surprises so far for you.
Yeah, I think when you lose a kid like Trey, yeah, everyone sees the amount of points that he scored over his 4 years, and I think sometimes when you lose a guy like him, the hard part isn't knowing that you have guys back. The hard part is trying to figure out how to completely adjust what you've done, and to see if those guys can go with a new style. And I mean, who we have back from last year is Jackson Tracy. He's a 2 year starter. This is his third year as a starter. He played JV as a ninth grader. I'd say halfway through his sophomore year, he um, he started starting for us, and then we went on our run to get to the league semifinals. So there's Jackson Tracy, Aaron Ennerline. He started for us starting in January, and he's been an integral part for that. And then you have Sammy Whitmer, who started for us all of last year, and he's the third senior that's in the starting lineup. So between Jackson, Aaron, and Sammy, there's a lot of experience there, but there's also that senior leadership. And then I mean, it's been tremendous. I talked to Andy the other day about this, about how different those three guys are, but the qualities, the positive qualities that they give to our team are tremendous. And it actually works perfectly that they all offer something different. So those three have the continuous game experience plus the senior leadership. Off the bench, we have Zach Hahn, who would be our fourth senior, who has that experience on the football field, but he's also been dressing varsity for us for 3 years now too, and he's come in spot minutes as a sophomore and junior when we need that extra piece. So him coming off the bench has been great for us this year. So those are our four seniors. In regards to other guys that have playing experience from last year at the varsity level, Chase Book, who he ended up having to start the whole district playoff run because Sammy was hurt. So Chase started the 3 games in districts. He's a sophomore. He's stepped into a new role, and he's been great. That's who we have back. Mason Rogers is a junior. He scored a little bit for us to this point. He played spot minutes varsity last year, but he's a loves playing AAU, big basketball guy. So he's grown a lot. So he's helped us as well. And then to round out our lineup, Ryan Kneff is a junior. He was part of the JV team as a ninth and 10th grader. He's been great early on in the season. Same thing for Landon Zizit, who's a junior, and Kyle Milan. Those guys round out that rotation. And some days we go 9, some days we go 8, but that's basically been our guys.
Nice, nice. Hey, you're off to a great start, obviously, 4-0. You knocked off some teams. I'm looking at the list here: Cedar Cliff, Red Lion, West York, E Town. and 1-0 in section play, and then you got a section play game coming up here. So I'll ask coach question. It's like how if anything did you have to change your style at least on the offensive end from what you did last year?
We're offensively, we're emphasizing getting ball reversals and moving the ball and just playing together, making that extra pass, working for great shots. But I think our biggest adjustment, or that's not even adjustment because it's always been our focus. I think our biggest focus at the moment has just been taking care of the basketball and playing good hard defense, and then everything else we hope to fall into place. But a little more than a couple. We have sets and emotion that we sort of are tuning up to use at some point. It's brand new, so we need to figure that one out. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's the guys have been great at practice, and it's just sort of like the baby steps, and it's not necessarily a whole new philosophy as much as it is. Um, with Trey, we knew what Trey was giving us on the offensive end. Now it's more like just moving that ball, letting everybody know, like, hey, one night it could be you, one night it could be someone else. And when you have a kid that averages 22 points a game, you address things one way, and then you have a bunch of kids that have the ability to put the ball in the hoop in their own capacity. You go more of a night to night basis. And the guys that I mentioned, we have all the confidence in the world in them.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm looking at your schedule here. You got back to back. You got Conestoga Valley on Wednesday, and then York Suburban on Thursday. So CV obviously is a section game, and then Suburban is not. So coaching question for you: how do you prepare for the second night when you're doing back to backs like that? I mean, I know you spent a lot of time preparing your kids and taping and all that stuff, but seriously, what's the philosophy? What's the take from Wednesday night to Thursday?
It's the back to backs are always tough, and I think, I mean, I'm just obviously speaking for myself. If it was reverse non-league first then section, I think the answer is still the same. You go into practice Monday, Tuesday, and you got to focus on that Wednesday game.
Yeah.
And whenever we have a back to back, I sort of view it as if it'd be like a tip off for a holiday tournament. We focus on the game that we know is in front of us, and that needs to be the focus. And we know we're going into CV, which on the road, tough place to play. They got guys that can put the ball in the hoop. They got a Fisher kid who's really strong and physical and does his thing. And Coach Shipper has him moving. Our focus is Wednesday. Make sure we're taking care of business and doing whatever we can on our end prior to that game, and then we go into the game with the mindset that we just worry about CV. And then Wednesday night, I'll give them the report for Thursday, and um, we'll talk before the game about how we're going to defend them and what our game plan will be.
Well, the nice thing different than the tip-off tournament is you got games under your belt, so the kids kind of know what's expected of them. They know their plays. There's not going to be anything new to them. It's just like, okay, here's what they do. Here's what we got to focus on and things like that. So that's interesting. How about you and I talked off camera about your Christmas tournament? So tell us where you're going and the teams there. It sounds like an interesting tournament, Coach.
Yeah, it's a good mix. We're going to Mifflin County. We were there last year. We open up with Steel High, and then the other game is Central Mountain, who was tremendous last year. They played LS in the state playoffs, and then Mifflin County. And Mifflin County's, I think they only have one loss to this point. They're having a great year.
Yeah. Well,
And that's, I mean, it's an afternoon tournament, 1:33 start, and I think it'll be a good hour and a half drive isn't always great, but it'll be a nice bonding experience for us all.
Definitely, definitely. That's cool. That's cool. Hey, let's talk just a hair. I know you're a busy guy here. Let's just talk a little bit about win number 100. I mean, we emailed back and forth, and we had some pictures and things like that. And we got a lot of coaches hitting some milestones, and I think some people don't understand that that's a pretty big thing because that means you've been around for a while. That means you've had a lot of teams. That means you've had a lot of coaches. You've had, you got some good things. I was cleaning out my closet today, coach. And I'm telling you, I got pictures I got pictures of when I was coaching back in the day. I found a Bobby Knight and Dell Jackson signed picture. I found a Joe Paterno picture. I found a signed basketball from my Donegal kids from like 10 years ago. And I'm like, wife's like, well, do you want to get rid of these? I said, no, no. I, I couldn't bear to get rid of this stuff. It's like, oh man. So just I mean, I'm talking about
Yeah.
me, but talk about you and the 100 and what it means to you. And I know, I know from your background, you've had a lot of support from different people.
Yeah, I think I I mean winning the 100, uh, it's awesome from the perspective of it's like 100 good memories. that's that's where I think I really sort of like focused on that piece. And I'm with when it comes to coaching, I'm sort of like it's opposite my personality. I like I'm a type of person that I like to be out in the open, talk to people, but when it comes to coaching, like in sense of like wins and things, I prefer to be in the background. Like I want my players to reap all that glory. So this was new territory for me in the sense that I was the focus of that particular win. But I look at it from a perspective of that was 100 nights that I went to bed and I was happy and I was overjoyed. And I think sometimes with coaching, as a competitive person, sometimes you don't always pay attention to the positives. You're more relieved that you won or didn't lose rather than you're excited that you won. And I remember one particular conversation I had with Coach Sherwood, and this was sort of after we had our run, when I was his assistant. He just said to me, he goes, if I can tell you one thing, whenever you're head coach, he goes, enjoy the wins on a regular basis. He goes, make sure you enjoy the wins, and don't when you win that night, enjoy it, and then
Yeah.
after you celebrate, then you move on and you focus on what's next. And that's something that I've really been trying to do. And we didn't do it at Ephrata my first 2 years, but when I got to Central my third year, I can't remember what game we did it because we didn't do it at the start of the year, but we threw a water bottle. We hit a buzzer beater. It was against York. It was against York Suburban. We
Oh,
hit a buzzer beater at their place, and it was one of our wins that year, and we celebrated. And so since then, what we do is we just do. I give a guy on the team for whatever reason. Sometimes it's they hit the game winning shot, or they I thought they played the hardest, or whatever it may be. I give them a water bottle. It's just whatever water I have left in my water bottle, and we just do a little
yeah.
celebration, and then we break it together. But it's the 100. It just sort of is. You look at the longevity of it, and I mean, this is my ninth year, and there were stretches where I'd go over. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get to that point. And you just think of the highs and lows. And we've been at Manhiem Central the last couple of years. We've been very fortunate to have the players that we had, and I've been very fortunate to have the assistant coaches that I've had. I have one of my assistant coaches is the head girls coach at Manheim, another's the head boys coach at Twin Valley, and now I have two guys in Coach Achille and Coach Sipe that just they give me everything I ask for, and I'm not always the easiest person to play for. I'm not always the easiest person to coach with. It is what it is. But I'm beyond appreciative for everybody that's given me things. And like my wife, her and my kids allow me to do what I do. And she handles the home front, which goes unnoticed. But there's some nights where I know it's tough, and she doesn't complain, and it makes it easier for me. But that's the one side of it, and then you like conversations with my dad and just talking to him because my love of hoop goes back to him. He never played hoop; he was a wrestler, but it goes back to time in the drive, or not in the driveway, in a tiny backyard in a city row home at Reading. Him and I would play pickup, and I would beat him every time, and then he beat me one time, and I hated him for it. So, but that's what you think about when you think of something like 100.
That's nice. That's nice. Hey, let's talk about the MidPenn LL. I don't know what we call it, the shootout thing in January 20th. So let's talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I
The
mean,
Mid
I
Penn
know.
LL shootout.
Yeah, I know it was there before you got there. I'm pretty sure, but it's continued, and I know you guys use that as a fundraiser for your booster. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, I know LO Hoops will be there, but we're gonna be doing NFHS, so it'll be a pay per view as far as seeing the games, and we split some of those
Yeah,
funds. So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about
yeah.
that, how it keeps going, and what's the philosophy there.
Yeah, so Coach Sherwood started it. Um, it was I remember the first year, but I was at Ephrata when he started it. I'm actually looking up the schedule for this year, but he started it. It was York versus LL, and then that was it for a couple years, and then this is the fourth mid pen versus LL. And we're actually, I think next year we're going to move to just a shootout. We're going to try to get some teams from all four of the leagues
Mm.
in District 3. So we're just gonna do it as a shootout. There's going to be no rhyme or reason for the matchups. We're just going to look at what's intriguing. Hopefully, we have a good amount of teams back, but we're looking for spots. So if anybody would watch this and would be interested, you can give me a shout, and I can sort of see where we would need a team. But for this year, we have a 5-game varsity slate. Our JVs are going to open it up against Cedar Crest. But varsity games start at noon. We have Columbia versus Middletown. Um, we have Hempfield versus Cedar Cliff, Penn Manor versus Lower Dolphin, Cedar Crest versus Central Dolphin. That one might be must see TV. And then we play Bishop McDevitt to wrap it up at 6. So I mean we have a great slate. I'm very thrilled with us being able to run it back with the same 10 teams. So shout out to all of those head coaches and programs for doing it again. We're still at the elementary school. Our goal next year is going to be to involve each of these schools' travel programs in some capacity because we'll have a bigger gym, more space. But we have other like thoughts and things. The goal is to bring good high school basketball to the Manheim Central community. I mean it's a football town. It's a rural community, but I do think they love their hoop, or I should say, I know they love their hoop, and that's sort of been our goal with this whole thing is to bring good high school basketball to the.
Oh, coach, I lost you. I lost you, dude. I don't know if we're going to get back or not, but probably not. Hey, thank you, coach. I'll end this. We'll record it and put it up tonight. Thank you. Thank you for everything, buddy. All right. All right. Hey, goodbye for everybody. Andy and I will be down in Elko, down in Philly tomorrow to see Elko, and then this week, and then it's a pretty quiet. It's a quiet end of the week. Wednesday's a big day for everybody. All right. Thanks for following. Talk to you later. Bye.